Some of the opposition leaders, very briefly, those who are not in government after the speech. And I told them, you have a legally elected government, and we're going to work with that government. But we're also always going to be listening to all elements of Kenyan society. It was funny, though, that one of the opposition leaders, I won't mention who, was saying, you know, we really need you to press the Kenyan government on some issues. And I had to say to him, I said, I remember when you were in government, you kept on saying, are you trying to interfere with Kenya's business? You should mind your own business.
All right, Ogla, is there double speak from the opposition?
No, in fact, Senator Hassan here alluded to that incident. And one, we should admit that the opposition has long accepted that this government is in power now. By whatever means, we are okay.
Have they really accepted, given the fact they're always saying that they're there illegitimately and always...
Yeah, in fact, I should repeat it, they are illegitimately in office. But
so have you accepted when you keep saying that
we have left them, we have left them, it's not double speak, we have left them to rule because we decided to ride on the higher realm. We decided not to cause, not to continue agitating for things that will cause problems in this nation.
When you keep making that they legitimate or statements that allude to the fact that the government is there illegally or the votes were stolen, have you really accepted?
Michael, there's a difference between legitimacy and legality.
Yeah.
Totally a difference. You might be legal but not legitimate. You could be legitimate but not legal. So there's a total difference in that. So the fact that we do not, we said it very unequivocally, that we respect the decision of the Supreme Court. That made the government legal, because we are in a legal framework. Whether we said, but we don't agree with it. That says, therefore, the issues of legitimacy do arise. So I think in fact, Obama, I think, was very careful. He's a lawyer. He knows that there's a difference between legality and legitimacy. So it is just an issue.
Okay, let me
I have not answered my question. Okay, please go ahead.
You know, you know, we must as Kenyans respect the rule of law. We cannot really, I mean, I'm sure members of the opposition also respect this constitution and that there is a rule of law. And if the process of election has been validated by the highest court in the country, really highest court in the land, I don't think it will be appropriate for opposition to continue winning about, you know that this government, is illegitimate or whatever. I think this is a matter that has been decided at the highest court, and I think it's important that we respect that. The second point is that at every opportunity there are some of the leaders in the opposition who have always claimed that this government is, in office illegally, and so for that point has been raised in the Senate, they have raised it outside, they have raised it everywhere, and I'm not surprised. They must have raised it with Obama, and I think the point the president is making is that which we all appreciate, that there are people who have cut their teeth in opposition and they know how to and there are others who are still learning to walk the ropes. So but I don't think it really makes sense today in this country. And I want to agree with my brother here when he said earlier on, this is an endorsement in the sense that America itself is the same nation that argued when Uhuru came into power, the president came into power, that even before the election, that choices have consequences, and they didn't want to deal, and only on essential contacts, and they created all that kind of thing. So I think he's coming here. If you look at it in that context, you have to contextualize it. Then you can see it's an endorsement, really, that initially they said we don't want to deal with this government. Now they're coming and saying, really falling over themselves to try and deal with it. So that, I agree, is some sort of endorsement. But I think the opposition, some of the opposition leaders need to appreciate that America and Europe, the Western countries, have changed the way they play politics nowadays. That age, that period when they used to force countries like Kenya or others to do this or do that, and conditionalities, and those days are gone. And I think he made it very clear that these days you can't do those things anymore, because countries are Kenya, for example, now 95% of their resources come from their own budgets. They get very little from donors. They don't listen to. So you cannot push countries around. So I think if somebody goes today to Obama and tells him, look, can you tell this government to do this, I think he must I've really missed it.
In fact, that's Michael. Can you allow me? I think, in fact, for me, this it was a good lesson to all of us. You know, some of us, at a very heavy price, try to remain very consistent on the things that we say. It's not a joke. It cannot always be a pendulum of, you know, whatever you want to do. We must be very consistent. In fact, the consistency in life is finally what people respect. I remember I said a very unpopular thing, but one of the friends from the U.S. Embassy said, wow, that's very legitimate, because I said, where is Abdul Malik, this Kenyan that you have in Guantanamo? Because we're all saying all the right things, and Obama himself has been facing enormous opposition in the closure of Guantanamo. So he felt that we needed to raise that public pressure on some of these issues. And I was very succinct to my colleagues that in the opposition, that it's not a question of telling them this is it. You have to take certain positions and try to lobby those positions so that the U.S. also can adopt those positions. Let's say in disengagement in Somalia, in terms of a phased disengagement in Somalia, issues of common interest like you know, the treatment of counterterrorism measures, the support. I don't think we have the tools ourselves to pressure the Kenya government to do what some of these things that the Jubilee is doing right now. Out of sense of pressure, when Uhuru realized that the chorus on anti-corruption was getting very high and the Kenyans were becoming totally angry, he decided to do the little thing that he did in the House during the State of the Nation address. So we have the means and tools in ourselves. So I think what happens though is this consistency must go across the board, and I think I wouldn't fault the President Obama on that, because I think some Kenyans do notice some of these such fundamental shifts. You know, Bilo someone today saying one thing, then the next day saying a totally different thing.
So we cannot totally say that there is no double speak, especially given culturally.
He did not. Get it right. He did not disagree that the issues are genuine. Let's say we might have raised issues on ethnicity, inclusivity, corruption, etc. He did not say that it is if those issues are not legitimate or they're not genuine issues. All he said is that, but you remember one day, this is the strategy he disagreed with, that you are going to tell Uhuru Kenyatta that you must do this. I think he said, well, some time back you told me not to do that, so now why are you telling me to do that? So I think the strategy is what was faulted. But the issues are still, do not go away.
The question was mine, Mike. Let me just answer by saying that if, first of all, this issue of legitimacy, if you are legitimate, you will not cry to be validated. You will be confident and comfortable.
I don't think they do.
Now, in the issue of this case where Obama has been talked about telling the opposition that it's when you are in government, I agree with him, and I'm sure everybody else is agreeing. I think we must grow, mature as Kenyans, to learn not to have unrealistic expectations from external support. Our problems must be sorted by ourselves, and we should not be seen as people that think that someone else is coming to solve our problems. In fact, he said it in Kasarani, that the population of Kenya should be able to stand for that which they need from their country. So I think it is, and again, this matter that Senator Hassan has talked about, when we are inconsistent as leaders, inconsistent, today we are in this side, tomorrow we are talking about the other one, the other time we are, I mean, everybody, every human being can naturally question us. So we need to write on our own on our own identity and value our nation and believe that we have the solutions to our problems.
What it takes.
Yeah, okay. And we can solve our